business tips to successfully start and run your business so your business doesn't run you. And more importantly, we provide personal development tools to create a better version of yourself to provide the solid foundation for your life and business to stand upon. This is the Biz Reveal, and I'm your host, Craig Sawyer. This week's episode is sponsored by Sawyer Health Solutions. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us. Get your free health insurance quote at SawyerHealthSolutions.com. As the host of the Screw the Commute podcast, Tom Antion has never had a job, at least not in the traditional sense. The multimillionaire next door, Tom discusses improving your lifestyle with the many possibilities of passive income, online businesses, and entrepreneurship, and adds his fun sense of humor and conversational comfort. After the show, learn more at www.greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. This is the Biz Reveal Podcast with this week's guest, Tom Antion.
I've been selling on the commercial internet since it started in 1994, and I've had my own business for 44 years. I actually owned four apartment buildings and a hotel before I graduated college, starting with nothing.
Busy guy.
And never had a job. Hence the name of my podcast is Screw the Commute, because if you look at my resume, it kind of looks BS, because how could somebody do so much stuff? But if you're not in traffic making somebody else rich a couple hours every day, you can live 2 or 3 lives.
Right.
So,
true.
And I'll do anything to avoid actually working for a living for somebody else.
I like that, though, because would we all like to be able to have the same attitude? In fact,
we all can.
I was actually in the corporate world for 17 years, 20 years, and I turned it in. I turned it in because, one, it's the corporate world, and you get the whole political thing going on and all that stuff, which is not fun to play with. And then two, I was kind of forced out. The best thing that ever happened to me was getting fired. And that's when I went into business for myself. Yeah.
Well, if you ever miss it, just go buy a water cooler and go stand and gossip with yourself. And then you'll be.
It's the same darn thing.
Right, exactly.
So you started doing this whole thing at the same time that the internet was just coming about.
Yeah, the commercial internet. Yeah,
so you've seen it all.
Before that, for military and stuff like that. But the commercial internet started to come around with the World Wide Web in 1994.
Okay.
And I had already been a successful speaker, speaking all around the world on business and stuff and humor and things like that. And I was selling, at that time, cassette tapes.
Right.
And it was hard enough to sell them across the street in those days, let alone around the world from your desktop. So when I saw this thing come along, I said, I'm going to figure this out one way or the other. But I didn't make a nickel for the first 2 years because it was totally more Wild West than it is. I mean, it's still Wild West today with all the stuff that's coming around, but nobody knew what was going on. And it cost me $2,000 for a shopping cart that would barely, if it took the order, we would throw a big ticker tape parade in the office.
If it actually worked, huh?
Yeah. My printer would not print in landscape. It would only print in portrait. You couldn't make it print in, it was just, it was the beginning of flourishing computers in everybody's homes and everything. And the first 2 years I didn't make any money, but then I got good training from a guy named Corey Rudel. He was kind of the 31-year-old grandfather of internet marketing for small business. He was making like $5 million a year from his apartment.
Okay.
And so I got training with him. And at the time, I bought his course for $200. And then I took a consultation with him. It was $1,230 for 30 minutes in 1996. All right. So this was a big leap, but the guy, earned it. And so that one call with one web page he taught me how to make has made over $1 million. Not a whole website, just one page. So, and he taught me how to do advertorials, which is an advertisement that doesn't look like an advertisement so that people's sales resistance not built in. They just think they're reading an article. And by the time they're done reading, they're like, oh man, I want to buy whatever this is because they see all the benefits first. So I got good training in 96 and started making money. It was $50 a week, 100, 500, 1,000. And then by the year 2000, I was an internet multimillionaire. So I like this field. I don't know.
And you got in early, and that takes a special eye too, that you could actually see what it could do before it could do it. But just seeing the potential in it. So that's awesome. I mean, that's kind of like you want to be everybody's, or actually everybody wants to be your best friend. Probably the stock market as well. It's like, hey, this guy's onto something here. So that's pretty cool that you got in that early, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, I already had a very successful speaking business where I was going around the world speaking on business, and there was humor in the workplace. And I had come from an entertainment company that I had started. And so I was really funny and I had good business information. So, people want an entertainment value with everything. They don't want a big stick in the mud up there. So the speaking career was going great. But again, like I said, in 1991, when I started professional speaking, a lady named Dottie Walters, now she was the legitimate grandmother of professional speaking. And I took a consultation with her. She got me started. And she said, Tom, you must become a product machine. And this was before the internet. All right. She said, a product will show your depth of knowledge way more than a short demonstration 2-minute video of yourself for speaking. Plus, you get cash flow from people that couldn't afford to hire you as a speaker. So there's no downside to it. So 400 products later, I'm still creating products all the time, information products at 97% profit now because they're mostly digital.
So the products, is that just like a training material type stuff? Is that what that is?
Pretty much how-to stuff. Yeah, I don't do any kind of fiction stuff because I'm not smart enough to character development and plots. And plus, there's not as much money for most people in that field. But how-to information is everybody wants to learn how to do stuff. Do it, the DIY people, do-it-yourself people. There's all kinds of things that if you just teach somebody what you know how to do or what you can research how to do. I got to tell you about this guy. This guy, I was sitting next to a plane. I was flying first class from LA to Charlotte, connection to back to Virginia Beach where I live. And this guy's looks to be about 40 sitting next to me. And he's got all these go-kart magazines in the seat pocket in front of him. And I'm thinking, you're kind of old for go-karts, aren't you? And so I asked him, what's all the go-kart stuff? And he lit up. He said, oh, me and my kids race them on the weekend. And I got 3 boys and we just love it. And I said, well, how much does one cost? And he says, oh, you can't get a piece of junk for 10 grand. Like 10 grand for a go-kart? Are you serious? Right. He says, yeah, ours are about 30,000 a piece. So I'm like, my head is like spinning now. Okay, 3 boys and him, that's 4 go-karts. There's 120 grand. If they race them, they probably got engines and tires and a big trailer to haul them and a monster truck to pull it. He's got hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up in this go-kart. So I was thinking, because I teach this to people, how could I write a book on go-karts and not know a darn thing about go-karts, but still make it a quality book? So the method is there are discussion boards, sometimes called forums online, where people discuss certain topics. They have it for everything, including pig farming, which I actually typed in pig farming forum and a site came up.
I'm just still trying to figure out how that even came up into your head. So
well, because I wanted to think something there can't possibly be
anything on pig farming.
And there is. And the big question, they had a big headline for the day. How could I make more money with my pigs? And I'm thinking, I've been thinking that myself for a long time. So anyway, you go to, you type in, I said, okay, you could go to a racing go-kart forum where people are just talking about, that's all they do is talk about racing go-kart. So then I would interview some of the more senior members. You can tell how many posts they made. It usually puts it next to their name. I'd interview them and say, hey, I'm writing a book on how to buy your first racing go-kart. And I'd like to interview you. How many people you think would turn you down? Nobody. That's all they do all day long is talk about go-karts.
Yeah, that's their passion. That's what they want to talk about. Yeah.
So how much do you think they charge you for the interview? Nothing. They're not professional, commentators. They're going to do it. Who do you think is going to help you promote the book because they're so, pleased that they're in it?
They want to hear themselves talk.
Exactly. Who gets all the money?
You do.
You do. And you just wrote a book on something you know absolutely nothing about, a quality book based on interviews of people that's all they think about all day long. See? And so you get all the money. And it's 97% profit when it's digital. Because I know you deal with a lot of people that want to start a business. Well, if you start an information business based on digital products, you're at 97% profit when you start. Well, what other business is that? There isn't any other than drug dealer or something. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not even that much in drug dealing. Information, you're not going to get arrested for it. That's the
right. Yeah, I don't want that to come up on your search history.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful how much you look into that one.
So you have to really try to mess up at 97% profit.
Right.
So that would be a way to start, which you can do as a side hustle while you're still working. So it's extremely low risk. I have an ebook mastermind going right now. I usually have 2 or 3 of them going at one time, different levels. And the people have no investment they already have a word processor on a computer, either Word or Pages for Mac. And you can convert it to Adobe PDF for free. And then you can convert it to Amazon Kindle for free. You have a piece of intellectual property. Do you know I have one product that's been selling for 28 straight years? 28 years. Wow. Every time an order comes in, I just sit and smile. I said, 28 years ago, I created that thing. And
the work's already been done. You don't have to do anything else for it, right?
Work, get paid. That's my philosophy. And it's a kind of an insurance policy for you're an insurance guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is an insurance policy, a different kind of insurance policy because, hey, I got in a hunting accident a couple of years ago. And it would have been such a great story had I gotten shot. But no, I fell on a log and I perforated my intestines. They're dragging me out of the woods in 13 inches of snow and a blizzard and I'm screaming like a baby. And the worst part about it, Craig, was I swear I could hear a bunch of deer laughing as they were dragging me out of the woods. So, but guess what? I was in intensive care for a week. Money kept coming in.
Yeah.
I couldn't lift more than 5 pounds for 6 months. I'm sitting there just barely able to get up and go to the bathroom for months, and money kept coming in. See, so that's a different kind of insurance policy than what you sell. But it is an insurance policy because money keeps coming in.
Right.
My mother, when she went south on me years ago, I was the only one that took care of my mom and dad. I took off 3 months and went and had to move her out of our family home for 50 years into a safe place. And, took off 3 months and I came back and had more money than when I left because of these online digital things that kept bringing money in while I was doing something else. My friend said we'd have lost our home, if we took off 3 months, so high profit, low risk is what I teach people.
So, and that's what you were talking about. It's kind of like having a master class, right? Like if you specialize in something, and basically you just kind of break it down into a training, and then you can break that training down into its own separate trainings. And you're basically having like a master class that you can charge people for basically forever. And there's tons of different ways to do it. I know some of them are live, where they do a live class, a couple of times a week or something like that. Sometimes it's all downloadable, but is that kind of what you're referring to?
Well, here's the thing. This is something I coined years ago, is the profit you make from a piece of information is dependent on the format in which it's delivered.
Okay.
So I have a classic book in the industry called Wake 'em Up Business Presentations, 300 pages, beautiful, 6x9, fully printed book. It sells for $24.95. 1/12 of that book, the equivalent of 1/12 of that book on audio, sells for $89.95. That's a 43-time multiplier. of the profit from the same information.
Mm-hmm.
And then that information, like half of it on video, where I throw in a couple consultations, is $1,000. So and if you have me do it in person, it's anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. See? So same information. It's just the format. And I highly suggest that people have things in all different price ranges, because you can't predict how much money somebody has.
Sure.
My girlfriend's friend from high school's great-grandfather invented something back in the early 1900s, some big manufacturing thing. She still gets, one of the great-grandchildren gets $100,000 a month from the trust fund. Right. She buys $7,000 sweaters, doesn't even think about it, So you just can't predict where,
Well,
so
everything is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. Right.
Yeah,
So I mean, if you don't know, then you kind of got to start somewhere and see if it sells.
If you just have a range, then they can jump in wherever they're comfortable.
Right.
So if you only have expensive stuff, then you're waiting for that one person that can buy expensive stuff. But if you have stuff all along the way, anybody can give you money at 97% profit. And I had to make a switch over a couple of years ago, in that people's attention spans are shorter. So I made products that were smaller and less expensive and just sold more of them, because people, even with the pandemic and with economy troubles, people would still buy $27 ebooks, $17 ebooks by the hundreds. And it's, like I said, 97% profit. So, and you just have more people in your database to sell more stuff to. So you have to be able to pivot, even in this business. But as long as you keep your costs low, your profit margin high, it's hard to mess up.
See, and I've looked into that before. And in fact, I just was speaking with somebody yesterday about this. I like to talk. I like to speak in front of people and things like that. I enjoy it. It's actually kind of fun for me, where it's a big fear for other people. Right. It's one of the things I enjoy. So I want to be able to use that because it's something I enjoy doing. Why not make money doing it? My issue has always been, what am I specialized in? What do I talk about? What do I train on? Because I've done so many different things throughout my life. I've literally had, and I'm somewhat ashamed to admit this, I've had 36 jobs. And I'm 45 years old, right? So that's a lot. And that's what I meant by, like, the corporate world just wasn't working out for me. It wasn't my personality. I felt too restricted, but the political correctness and all the things, I want to make change. And sometimes you have to be a yes man, right? When you're in management. Yeah. So I've done a lot of different things, but I'm not necessarily an expert in any one thing. So to come up with a training that I can be the expert in, and you touched on this a little bit though, when you were talking about the go-karts, that you don't necessarily have to be the pro in that. You just have to be able to talk to other people who are pros, which is what I do with the podcast. I'm not a pro at everything that has to do with entrepreneurship. I interview people who are pros in their own specific niche, which generates an audience, a forum of really great ideas and really great advice, but I don't necessarily have to be the expert. So that is. But
you are an expert in pivoting. If you've had 36 jobs, you've had
I can
a
adapt.
lot of.
I can adapt.
You're an expert in handling change, which is perennially a big topic. It's the one constant. There's always going to be change.
Always going to change. Yeah.
And but I'll tell you a story from my speaking career is that I was kind of in the same boat. I didn't want to specialize because I thought it was too boring. So I actually went to spoke in 87 different industries in my first 5 years. So, and I don't complain about that, because that was a massive business education, because I learned about all the Pennsylvania Dry Cleaning Association, and I spoke at the Nebraska Plumbing Association. So I learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
However, all of my elders in the speaking community were saying, you got to specialize, Tom, you're killing yourself. And they were right. I wouldn't listen. But after 5 years of doing this, the problem is that somebody in the Pennsylvania Dry Cleaning Association, where I hit a home run, doesn't know anybody in the Nebraska Plumbing Association. So I'm fighting it out for each job. Your name is not spreading. You're fighting it out for each one. So as soon as I picked an industry to concentrate on, boom, my fees went through the roof. my in demand. I never had a business card. I didn't have to have a press kit, nothing. People would just call me and ask me, are you available? They would wait to book their event until they found out if I was available. See, so that's what happens when you dominate an industry. So yeah, I get it where you've done so many things, but if you pick something that's on the rise, an industry that's on the rise, not on the decline, and concentrate on it, your name spreads, you do a great job, your fees rise, things get so much easier. It's easier to customize because you already know the industry, you know what they're talking about. I went to an industry one time, and here's a tip for everybody. Use Google Alerts. Just put the keywords that apply to you, and you'll get, I was speaking at Hallmark Cards, and as soon as I booked the job, I put Hallmark and greeting cards and everything in my Google Alerts. So I would get news every day about that industry. And so I show up in the morning to speak to the executives of Hallmark Cards, and I knew stuff they didn't even know that was going on in their company. They thought I worked in their company. And so they're like, wow, this guy's great, And I just used a typical internet tool that told me what to say.
Information's key. I mean, if you know the stuff, you're the guy, right?
Yeah. So what's funny is I get a lot of people, you're kind of in a startup thing here. They come to me and they want to make money fast. They can't afford my mentor program, but they know that I'm always trying to help people. And so I think you'll be surprised at what I do with those people. I send them to eBay, because eBay, you can have money coming in tomorrow and clean your basement out at the same time. Right? So, and no, you don't need a website, nothing. And
right.
And so let me tell you a couple of things about that. Like, I'm very frugal. I grew up extremely frugal. My dad came from a cattle boat on Syria. They're actually doing a documentary about my life and his life and how we turned into entrepreneurs and stuff. So I'm always looking for bargains. If I'm going to buy something, and this is another tip for your listeners, don't pay retail for stuff. Look on Facebook Marketplace and offer up, and now, and if you want to get murdered, use Craigslist or something.
There's only been a few stories. What are you talking about?
Okay, so anyway, I'm on eBay, but I found this guy locally that had this tool that I wanted to buy. So I go over to his house, beautiful house, $500,000 motorhome out front. He comes to the door, dressed very nice, invites me into his shop. He's got a shop in his basement to look at this tool. Okay, great. So we go downstairs, we're heading towards the shop. Now, Craig, everything to this point was normal. Okay.
Something's about to change.
I look over, and as we're going into his basement, there are hundreds of ladies' bras hanging from the ceiling of his basement.
Okay, that might be a slight red flag.
I'm thinking, oh man, he lures people in to buy stuff, kills them, and hangs their underwear up on the thing. And I'm saying, what's he want with me? My bra isn't as good as those ones.
Yeah, I'm not wearing any underwear. Joke's on you, buddy.
So I buy the tool, and everything is normal. We're talking about our dads, how they taught us to do tools and stuff. So we're heading out. I said, I got to ask you, man, what's all these bras hanging up here for? And he said, oh yeah, my daughter goes to thrift stores. She knows all the sizes that are hard to find. She gets them, cleans them up, fixes them, sells them on eBay. Oh, $200,000 a year she makes selling used bras on eBay.
Wow. Well, there's a need for everything, right? You just got to find out what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Because some of them probably cost a couple $100, the weird sizes and stuff. And so she's selling for 30 or 40 after paying $2 at the thrift store. So she was cleaning up. He said she found some more thrift stores. She's thinking she can hit 400,000 next year.
That's insane.
So, and then this other lady I know, she was a single mom. She would take $80 to $100 every Saturday to yard sales. And now on eBay, if you look at the search bar, right next to the search bar is a little link that says advanced search. If you click on it, it can tell you all the auctions on a particular item in the past 90 days and how much they sold for. So she would go, let's say she'd go to a yard sale and she'd see a Tonka truck, one of those nice steel, Tonka trucks. And let's say they're selling it for $5. She goes on her cell phone and says, oh, it's selling for 50 on eBay. So she would buy it. If it was selling for 30 at the yard sale and $5 on eBay, she wouldn't buy it.
Right.
She was clearing $1,000 to $1,100 a week, taking one day to go to yard sales and then listing the auctions throughout the week, and then go next Saturday, go back for the 80 to $100 and do it again. Just raised her whole family like that.
And sometimes you see a markup like that. I was actually just thinking about that yesterday, because, folks who might have like $1 million to blow, right? They go out and they'll buy a stock for $1 million or, multiple stocks. And even if it only goes up 5%, within a month period, that's a lot. Don't ask me to do the math, but that's a lot of money you just made in a month, right? So if you do that enough times over and over, and you don't need $1 million to do it, because a lot of us, like myself, I get stuck in. I'm like, oh, you got to have a lot of money to make a lot of money, but you can make a lot of money, a little money at a time. Think about people who own vending machine businesses, right? They're making it, quarter at a time. You just have to have a lot of vending machines. So, but yeah, that's a great example. And thinking outside the box, I think that's what I got, from the bra story. I think hopefully that's all anybody got from that bra story.
I just thought of this. You're a Marine.
Yes.
The guy that taught me how to do eBay was a Marine.
Okay.
And he came over and, they have, you can go to eBay and local people have offered to teach you for money, to teach you how to do all the fancy stuff on eBay. So the guy comes over and I'm thinking about hiring him, and he brought his sales over for the previous month, $20,000 of used cell phones and doll heads. I said, used cell phones and doll heads. He says, yeah, I go to pawn shops and I ask them, what are the things they can't get rid of easily? They can't keep track of the services and the chargers. And he offered him $10 a piece for every cell phone. And he sells them for $110 a piece after he figures out, what charger goes with it and everything. And then the doll heads. I said, doll heads? What's up? You're a Marine. What's up with doll heads? And he said, I give a mold. It cost me 10 cents of rubber for each head to fill this mold, and they sell for $10 a piece. That's almost as good as ebooks.
So he's using the doll heads that he buys to create molds for himself that he can reproduce multiple doll heads.
No. He buys the molds and then he pours the rubber in and creates the doll head.
Okay.
And sells them to people that make dolls he says they buy them 4 to 10 at a time. So you $40 to $100 for 40 cents to $1. He makes. So then those are just a few examples I know personally. There's just millions of those things out there that you can turn something into money. People go to eBay to make money. So and I got probably a dozen ways you can make money online without a website. And so for people that need to get started, with no investment, that's one of the ways to do it.
Well, and one of the things that I have an issue with, and I think this is fairly universal, is once you do find that thing, right? You find your bra business or you find your doll head business, whatever the case is, once you find it, getting the word out, right? That's the hardest part. You might have the best thing that's been invented since sliced bread, but if nobody knows about it, it's not going to matter. So getting out there, to me, has been the hardest part, because you got to know who your audience is, right, to get in front of them. And then once you actually narrow down who your specific audience is, what do you do to get in front of them? What is the best ways to get in front of the masses to spread the good word about what you have to offer?
Well, there's various methods. You got the social media. If you had an Instagram bra site, women
I can only imagine the kinds of people that are going to be on there, though.
Well, no, it's women are going to flock to it. They're going to share it with all their friends. The same thing if you had a Facebook group. I had a girlfriend one time, and she was always complaining. She says, oh, I'm always pointing the wrong direction. I can't get a bra that fits right. So I don't have a big fascination with bras, let me tell you. I do have a lot of bras.
I wonder about you a little bit, Tom.
Yeah. So, of course, I'm going to fix this problem. So I go looking and I find Dell's Bra Boutique up in D.C. when I used to live up there. I took her over there. They fitted her up. She was a 32 double D, which most people are 34 double Ds. So she had 2 inches of like sag.
Gotcha.
They fitted her up good. She's all thrilled to death. She's all happy. And then she broke up with me. All right. But that's another story. But
when you're self-employed, whether as an independent contractor or a business owner, when it comes to health insurance, you're on your own. Health insurance for the self-employed individual is imperative. When you get sick or injured, you aren't working and you don't get sick days. You may end up facing staggering medical expenses and loss of income. Health risks and uncertainties are a part of life. You can't always plan when you get sick, but you can be prepared for the financial aspect. The best way to be prepared against uncertain health risks is with the right health insurance plan. Call Sawyer Health Solutions today for your free consultation and quote. Allow us to put a plan together that makes sense for your situation. Call 239-677-9877 or go to our website at sawyerhealthsolutions.com. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us.
So it's a big deal for women, so if you had a niche site on that, now probably not so good for me if I was hanging around the bra section of thrift stores. They probably call the police.
There might be a different website for
right.
for that. Yes.
But there's just all kinds of niches that would spread like wildfire. So then you can have it. You could have a YouTube channel about it, all talking about, again, I'm picking out this one thing, but there's just a million details that women have to deal with bras. You could have guys with beards. There's going to be a channel that it'll spread for everybody that's got a beard. So you can have a lot of free action and traffic from these social media sites. And you got TikTok and you got Instagram, you got Twitter, you got all these places to get the word out. But it would not work, Craig, if you did it on 36 different jobs you had.
Right. Yeah, you got to find the niche.
Pick something. Yeah,
so how do you...
You can have more than one, though. You can have more than one niche.
Oh, sure. But how do you get out or put the word out in an informational way versus a selling way? How do you not sound like a salesman just throwing your pitch out there all the time and you're actually putting it out there, say, hey, look, this is really cool. Check this out, without sounding salesy?
It's exactly what I told you that I learned from Corey Rudel in that half-hour session, advertorials, which means you're going to write about all the benefits and how to size your bras properly and how to save money. This is going to be your bra episode. I can see it now.
I'm going to have some awesome hashtags on this one.
I know. And but I'm always trying to lose weight, and people say, well, "How much weight you want to lose, Tom?" And I say, "Well, I just want to get down to a B cup." That's it. But anyway, so. I forget what the heck I was telling you.
All the broad talk is just throwing us completely
I know.
Two guys.
So you're putting out information that is of interest to a specific group of people. And you have different age groups that you can target too, because a 50-year-old retiree is going to have possible different, and larger women and smaller women are going to have different things. Women that exercise, they're always talking about sports bras, so you could, you just have all these information things, giving them good tips, but then you appear to be the expert, that they're more likely to buy something from you, or you could be an affiliate. So that means they could come to you and they like your stuff, but you don't have what they need, and you find somebody else that'll give you a commission. So you're doing it in a helpful fashion where you're teaching them something, and then you're the natural one that they believe in because you've taught them something.
Right.
Now, on some things you can just put a straight ad out. Hey, bras at 60% off discount. Then you try that too. You see what works best in your market, and you don't just do one. But like I said, you can have multiple niches. I have protection dogs. I have tennis. I have the dubious distinction of being the largest person ever to create and star in a tennis training video. It's called Fatso Tennis. Winning tennis for the overweight and hopelessly out of shape.
Love that.
And I have public speaking. I have internet marketing. We've raised money for dog rescue. So all kinds of stuff. So anyway, yeah, you get multiple niches are great. And it's just, you keep your costs low, your profit margin high. And like I said, you can start as a side hustle. The ebooks is the way I start everybody, because I got one ebook. It took me 4 hours to write, and it's brought in as of this morning, $3.63 million. Right?
From one book.
One book. Yeah. And it's a free book. So you say, well, that sounds like BS. How's that work? Well, it's based on what we call affiliate programs. So, I tell all the great stuff that you could do in this book, but you can't do it unless you buy the tool that I'm recommending. And so when you do, I get paid every time you pay for it, monthly or yearly. And a lot of time, I've had some people keeping it 16, 17 years. So I keep making $600 a year from one time promoting it in that book to the people. So that's a way to get the word out. Anytime you're giving away free stuff, people will take it. But again, in the book, they get excited, and then they can't do it unless they buy the thing that's in the book.
Gotcha. So you entice them in with the free thing, and inside the free thing, there's something else that they could do if they got something from the free thing.
Exactly. And that pays me on and on and on a residual basis. Another insurance policy.
Exactly.
I could quit right now and have hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in because of these residual things that I promote once, but they pay forever as long as that person stays in. I mean, it could be supplements. It could be a membership site.
Right.
It could be shopping cart system, stuff that they pay over and over and over for.
Just royalties is basically, I mean, it just keeps coming in. Just like musicians, they make, royalties on their songs forever. And people think, one hit wonder. Yeah, but that one hit wonder is getting paid for the next 30 years.
Exactly. And so I made my 3.6 million so far, and anywhere from $4,000 to $15,000 a month still going on. And the company is thrilled to death. They made 12, 13 million off of me.
Yeah.
So everybody's happy. Put it that way.
So I'm going to go backwards just a little bit. And when I mentioned, trying to get out in front of your target audience, the reason I'm asking, and this is a personal, just being selfish thing, trying to figure this thing out for myself. But if I have that question and I'm an entrepreneur, lots of other listeners are going to have the same question. How does one get their target audience? Because I've taken classes and they're like, start Facebook groups and, you want to, only try to add people who are going to, fulfill the needs that you currently have and things like that, or only accept the friends that are doing the same thing, things like that. So, I have a Facebook group that's for entrepreneurs, Entrepreneurs Lounge on Facebook. And, that way we can all kind of talk and ask for advice from each other. It's a great forum for people of like mind to talk to each other. That's ideal, but it's still not growing. So do you have tips on how to get things like that to grow?
Yeah. So the number one mistake, since I've been teaching this for 23 years, is people don't do keyword research.
Okay.
They develop all this stuff, and then they hear crickets chirping because they haven't done their keyword research. It's backwards. See, you're supposed to do the keyword research first to see what people want, and then you build your systems to match what they want. So everybody does it backwards. Don't feel bad. Everybody does it backwards.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea, we did I have wedding books and eulogy books and things like that. But on the wedding books, we did a wedding reception book. How many keywords and keyword phrases do you think have something to do with wedding reception?
Oh, geez. Probably a million.
No, not too many.
Is it few?
No, it's a lot.
Okay. Not a million. All right, a lot.
6,300.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's a lot.
We found out. So most people, if they had a wedding reception book, would say, okay, wedding receptions, so maybe 5 or 10 keywords they would think.
Okay.
So if I have 6,300 keywords out there grabbing people on everything, wedding cakes, wedding cake icing, wedding cake bakery, wedding cake accessories, wedding photography, everything that has to do, wedding gowns, wedding bridesmaids gifts, all this stuff, sucking people in, and you got 10 or 15, who's going to win? See? So probably you haven't done the keyword research to place all these keywords to suck in new people that are looking for entrepreneurship stuff.
And you need to be more specific. You have to be very specific when it comes to those keywords.
Yes, you can't lump them all in one place because that's called keyword stuffing.
Okay.
But, for instance, we shot 300 videos one month, each one on a different keyword. So I would give a tip on that keyword, and then we put them up on YouTube. So when somebody's searching for that one keyword, let's say if they were searching for, let's just take wedding cake icing. Okay. And this other keyword that I did a thing on was wedding cake bakery. Well, they're probably going to find the icing video because that's what they were looking for. But if I only did wedding cake bakery and they're looking for wedding cake icing, they probably wouldn't find me. They'd find somebody else that was talking about wedding cake icing.
Because they actually had the specific.
Because they had those keywords in there. Say, because Google wants to give people the exact search that they want. That's how Google came to prominence.
Sure.
See, before that, you had Alta Vista and Ask Jeeves and all these other things a long time ago, but you'd have to search through 15 pages of crap to find anything you wanted. Then Google said, that's not good. We're going to make sure people find what they want on the first page. And so they did, and boom, they shot to the top of the world. And so you have to create your websites to make Google think, I'm going to give that visitor exactly what that visitor wants. Because Google wants the visitor happy, coming back all the time to sell more ads.
Right.
That's the whole thing of Google right there. They're using you as a necessary evil to create all this content to suck the people in. So that's the business model. So yes, you got to use them strategically in blog postings and articles, and the title of your blog posting, the title of your videos. You should say the keywords in your videos, because Google and YouTube, I say Google because they own YouTube. They've been using for years voice recognition to hear what you're saying in your video to help rank you. So
even the audio parts of your websites or YouTube or whatever, even those audio keywords are going to be very important.
Forever. It's been there for at least 5 years.
Are pictures the same way? Can they do the same thing with pictures and logos?
When you name your pictures, it shouldn't be like image 0748. It should be what's in the picture. You name your pictures. Also, behind a picture, there's a thing called the alt description. That's for people that are sight impaired. And if you do any work with the government, they demand that you use that for the Americans with Disabilities Act. So you put keywords in there. It has to be descriptive of what a sight impaired person would see if they could see the picture. You're just describing
the actual picture.
Yeah, but you want keywords in there. The title to a blog posting, the titles to your videos. There's tags and keywords you attach to your videos. Those are all places that these keywords are used. So the return on investment of keyword research is enormous. That's why the #1 episode of Screw the Commute podcast was about that, because it's the biggest mistake ever made. Then I also suggest people listen to episode 130 because of voice search. See, people search differently on their cell phones and tablets than they do when they're typing.
Right.
So you have to make subtle differences because of that. So I suggest people listen to episode 1 and episode 130 if they want to learn about keyword research.
And not to ruin them going to those episodes, but is there any tips you can give on where to go to get that research? Where do you go to
Google
search for it?
has a thing right from the horse's mouth. Google Keyword Planner is free. There's numerous numbers of keyword tools, but that one's free. And of course, you can find a million tutorials on YouTube on how to use it. But basically, you're going to put in a seed word, and then Google's going to kick out all the related keywords and the amounts per month people are typing that keyword. And you can, sort it by high to low. You can download the whole list to your computer, all free. But you just have to sign up for a Google Keyword Planner account. Just
100% necessity if you're creating a website or a landing page.
Yeah, because everybody else is shooting in the dark. They get what I call them a CSI. And everybody says, oh, the TV show? I said, No, crappy, stupid idea. That's what CSI stands for. And all mine are crappy and stupid unless you can prove they aren't with real numbers. Okay? And that's what these keyword tools do. And then you have to know about related keywords. So let's say, do you golf at all?
I don't. And if you saw me play, you'd understand why I did it
I don't
once.
either. I hate golf. But anyway, there's a fancy golf club company, Callaway. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say that you, Craig, wrote a book on how to improve your golf swing. Okay, that's your book. And somebody sat down at Google and typed in Callaway driver. Don't you think that would be a good prospect for your golf swing book?
Sure.
Who's going to buy a $400 driver if they're not interested in their golf swing, right?
Right.
But the words Callaway driver are not the words golf swing. But we know that they're totally perfect match. So those are related keywords. They're not the exact word, but whatever they typed proves that they're a prospect for your company. See, so you might do a review on Callaway drivers and suck people in and then send them over to buy your golf swing book. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's called related keywords. And then we have a thing called negative keywords. It's even a slicker way to pull people in. So did you ever hear of prednisone?
Yes.
Okay. It's a harsh chemical steroid to reduce inflammation. Well, let's say you were a holistic healthcare practitioner, all natural. Would you ever suggest prednisone?
Not in a million years.
Never.
Yeah.
However, if you were smart, you would write a blog posting or do a video, how to be inflammation-free without using prednisone. So now, as long as you don't lie about prednisone,
sure,
they can't do a thing about it. You know, you're just giving editorial. And if 10% of the people said, they're right, I was looking for prednisone, but I shouldn't be putting this bad stuff in my body, you win. All right.
So now you're not only getting the holistic people, but you're also getting the people who may have been looking for that and got all of a sudden you popped up.
Exactly, because you use the word prednisone, which you hate with a passion, but people are looking for it. So you're actually doing them a favor, introducing them to your holistic stuff so they're not putting harsh chemicals in their body. Yeah. So that's related keywords and negative keywords. So if you get all of those together, grabbing people, you got a much greater chance of winning than you do if you just have 10 or 15 or you don't even use them at all properly.
So there's a lot of dots. You just have to know how to connect them all together.
Yeah. And none of them is hard. It's just you have to learn from somebody to teach you. Like the number one place on a website is your title tag. It's 70 to 80% of your success of being found. And most people wouldn't even know where it is if you held a gun to their head. And it doesn't even look like it's your website. It's in the tab at the top of your browser. If you put your mouse up there, you see a little tooltip that says, okay, Craig Sawyer's Biz Reveal Podcast or something, whatever you've told it to put in there. But most people don't tell it what to put in there. So it just defaults to Craig Sawyer, every page of your website. Well, then Google comes and says, why in the heck would I give this website a high ranking if every page is identical?
Gotcha.
See, it looks from the top down to look at keywords, and that's the first place it sees. So your title tag, every page needs to have its own unique set of keywords. And you know what, Craig? My name, you'll never find it in one of those tabs, because if they know my name, they'll find me.
Exactly.
I want people that never heard of me to find me based on keywords again. See, you use these keywords everywhere.
So it'd be something like podcast for, podcast entrepreneurs, business owners.
Yeah, entrepreneur podcast.
The way that people would type it in, because we don't talk the same way that we search, right? You want to look for podcast entrepreneurs.
Right, except remember, you got to also have stuff that pleases the voice searchers.
Okay.
So that's why I want people to learn both voice search, and usually that's a little bit longer. Like if somebody wanted public speaking tips, they might type in public speaking tips, but then they might say to their phone, how do I be a great public speaker? How do I improve my public speaking? Chances are they aren't going to type that, but they would say that.
Gotcha.
See, so that's why you have to have both to please everybody nowadays.
Okay.
Because more than half of the searches are on mobile nowadays.
Well, just to use an example, because that's pretty easy to do when you're talking about the homepage of, like, say, for example, since we're talking about the podcast, it's pretty easy to say podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, something like that. But when it's the page for like the episodes, how would you?
Yeah, well, you got to
change
figure
that?
out what the keywords are for that person. Like you got the Taekwondo girl I listened to. So you could have a Taekwondo. She was into so many things.
Hers is mostly like the health and exercise thing.
Yeah, so you can have health and fitness and martial arts podcast.
Okay.
Something like that. You don't want to put too many words up there, because the more words you put, it dilutes the value of each word. So if you had 10 keywords up there, that's 100% of your keywords. Well, each one is only worth 10%.
Sure.
So if you had 4 keywords up there, each one is worth 25% and looks more prominent.
Gotcha.
So you want to look like it's all about something, so that Google says, oh, that's a good page on that topic. But if it's got 50 different keywords on it, Google's like, this is a jack of all trades. We want to give the searcher exactly what they were looking for.
Less is more. Just make it powerful.
Yep.
Make it mean something. So talking about that, because we were already kind of on the subject, what are the biggest, I think you might have just mentioned it, the biggest mistakes that people make in SEO, excluding what we just said, because I agree with you on that. And I learned about that very late, about being able to do those titles. But what's the other big mistake, or maybe 2 or 3 biggest mistakes people make when it comes to the SEO?
I'm laughing because my answer is going to be using it and concentrating on it at
Too
all.
Much. Okay.
We gave up on that 5 years ago. I was taught by the best of the best. Michael Campbell could get all 10 places for he and his clients. I could get 4 to 6 places for years, 10, 12 years straight. But probably 6, 7 years ago, I just quit. Other than the basics of keyword placement of the big places, I quit because it's just ridiculous. You could you could spend months and months and months on this, maybe get a little traction, and then Google turns one dial, and then you disappear off the face of the earth. They
change the algorithm so often.
You're crazy. And this SEO people hate me because they can talk people into saying, we'll get you first place, this and that, on some obscure keyword that nobody will type in the next millennium. But the thing is paid traffic is the way to go. You can turn it on and turn it off. You can test things within a matter of days that would take you months and months to test. And we always tell people, fail fast. If you're going to fail fast. And that's what paid traffic is. So there are super bargains on this. One of the biggest bargains on earth is YouTube in-stream ads. These are the ones where you can click the skip button.
Okay.
Because if you click the skip button within 30 seconds, you don't pay anything. A lot of people don't know that. That's totally free branding, and you don't pay a nickel. In fact, we, in many of our ads, try to get you to click so that we don't pay. And if we can't get you to click, you're probably a good prospect. So we do some stuff with military spouses. I think I may have told you the other day that, the Department of Defense, we have a scholarship program for military spouses.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for your service. That's for sure. So I might have an ad geared towards military spouses that says, hey, if you're thrilled to death with your Lulu stuff and making your friends mad at Starbucks, trying to sell them some multi-level marketing crap, go ahead and click that skip button and go back to the video you wanted to watch. But if you want to create a portable second income for your family that you can take anywhere, maybe you want to hear what I have to say. So if they're, if I can get them to skip because they're all happy with their multi-level marketing crap, well, good, goodbye, good luck. But I don't have to pay for that if I get them to skip. That's what I mean. So sometimes we put out ads like that, and also I may get 2 to 4 cent video views on the same keywords that would cost me $1.50 to $5 on the regular Google search. So it's very cost effective to try that kind of ad first, because now it's different because you are interrupting people that were trying to watch another video, but $2 to $5 a piece per click over in the regular search is too risky for most small business people. So that's one. There's another kind of obscure one. If you really want to build up your Instagram, you can get from 1 cent to 4 cents or so if you do it right. And it's a very specific Instagram ad. It's an Instagram video story ad that's driving people to your profile because they want people to stay on Instagram. So they reward you if you keep them on there longer, send them to your profile rather than an external website.
Right.
And your profile can have a link, and you're only allowed one link, okay, in your Instagram to link out. However, if you go get a free account at Linktree, linktr.ee, linktr.ee, that one link can take them to this big list of links for all the stuff you got. You can try it on my Antion and Associates site, and you would see, I do so many things, I'd be stuck with picking one.
Exactly.
So now whatever I do, I can say, go to my profile, click my link, and scroll down, and you'll see the free ebook or, whatever, my mentor program, whatever it is. So you can get a free account at Linktree or $6 a month if you want all the bells and whistles. So that's the way.
And that's
you get
a good way to
it.
go too, because it's showcasing all of the things that you do. Because I'm the same way. I have the podcast, I have the health insurance business, I have a coffee business. I got a lot of different things, and I don't want to bypass one thing because I'm trying to direct them to another thing. I want them to know that, hey, I do this, but I also do this. But at the same time, I still want them to know that I'm an expert in, health insurance or, whatever the case is.
Okay, so here's what I would do, because I have a yes and no on what you just said.
Okay.
So if I'm driving an ad to my profile to say, okay, get my free ebook on automation, which I'm going to give your listeners, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm going to drive them to the profile, but on Linktree, I can move the stuff up and down. There's so many things. I don't want them to have to search through to get the thing I was promoting and get them lost and they forget what they were there for. So I just move that thing to the top of the list so they can at least get the freebie and get on my email list. And then if they want to look at the rest of the stuff, great. But if you show people too much stuff at once, they usually do nothing. They get confused and they get lost. And you always have to worry them thinking of you as jack of all trades. So exactly. I want to get the main thing done first and then let them look at the other stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'd actually gotten some advice from somebody else about that, because I do have the website for my insurance. I have the website for the podcast, obviously. I have the website for my coffee company. And he's like, no, you really need to sell yourself as the brand and have those things as like your different tabs on your website. So basically saying that I should have a website for Craig Sawyer and then have separate tabs for each business. But I think it might have been you I spoke with last week that I might have brought that up with. And if I'm wrong, forgive me, but that would confuse the algorithms for Google, because now there's insurance, there's podcast, and there's coffee all on one website, and it gets a little bit confusing. So it is best to keep those separated out as separate websites, right?
Yeah, and first thing you got to think of, you're not supposed to listen to anybody but me.
That's what I've been doing wrong all these years.
No, everybody has different opinions, but you got to think, okay, I'm a multimillionaire for 21 years doing this.
Doing something right.
And so I might have learned some things along the way that a lot of people that teach this are doing it out of a book or what they read from somebody else that never made a lot of money. So yes, you could do it, but you'd have to be doing a lot of other things elsewhere to drive the traffic and have people pre-sold before they got to your site.
Gotcha.
And so I try to give people one choice at a time. And all this, I teach copywriting and sales. As soon as you give them 2 choices or 3 choices, and this is, again, when I go to speak, I sit back and I watch the other speakers and they're saying, oh, we have the gold program and the emerald and the titanium. And I'm watching the audience and they're like looking at each other like, what? What's he get? I don't get it. And I'm sitting back there smiling because I'm going to take all the money out. And I've never been beaten in 21 years in the back of the room sales at a multi-speaker event because I give them one choice. That's it. Very clear, high value. This is what you get. And so I'm really reluctant of showing people more than one thing because it's just too much to get. They're already have attention span of less than a goldfish. Did you see that study that said a goldfish has a 9-second attention span and people have 8 seconds?
I've talked to a lot of people. I would agree with that.
Yeah. 8 seconds is being benevolent.
A little generous, right?
Yeah. So I'm more of a favor to sending them something very specific. And now, a lot of the times I have to say, do as I say, not as I do, because I already have 100,000. I've had as many as 150,000 subscribers that known me for years. And so I can send out an email and get away with murder. But if you're trying to do this correctly from the beginning, which like I said, a lot of people are starting up trying to do this, you got to be more precise because the competition is fierce. There's millions and millions of websites competing with you on every kind of topic there is. So you got to do it correctly nowadays. You can't get away with stuff that I can get away with.
Right. Well, Tom, I just looked down and that is our time for today, man.
Okay.
That was awesome.
I didn't get warmed up yet.
I know, I can tell. No, we're going to do another one. I'd actually like to talk to you after the show because I'd like to schedule another time that we can talk because there's a lot of info here. You've been doing this for a long time and you're very successful at it. So I want to keep picking your brain because I've learned a lot. I've been jotting down a whole page worth of notes here. So I would like to talk to you more about this too. And I love that you're so damn passionate about it too, which makes it so much fun.
Well, like I said, I could have quit years ago, but I mean, I'm a continuous learner and I just get thrilled to death when I see my students, thrive, my mentee. And by the way, I want to give them this automation book that I use.
Yeah. So actually, this is a perfect time. Let's go ahead and tell people how they can contact you.
Go to screwthecommute.com/automate free. It's a book of the things that I've used to handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers without pulling my hair out. And I'm lightning fast responding to people, which gives me more money because a lot of people don't get back to prospects fast enough and they give me the money. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I forget it. Don't let them have the book. Then they'll start getting faster than me. And I'm just one of the tips. One of the tips in the book has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes over the years. And I've been using it for years and years. And I can hit a couple keys and it'll type in massive answers. My rule of thumb is if I get a question more than once, I make the answer into what's called a short key. And so I can just hit A1 and it'll type all this stuff in for me. And that's saved millions and millions of keystrokes and makes me lightning fast responding. But there's tons of stuff like that in the book. So we sell it for $27, but it's yours free for listening to Craig Sawyer's Biz Reveal.
Awesome. Tom, thanks again, man. Awesome. It was a good time. I loved talking to you last week. And we actually got to record it this week so everybody else can enjoy the conversation too. Awesome. I'm going to walk away from this one with a heck of a lot of bra knowledge I didn't know I was missing out on.
Yeah, that's important.
It was definitely,
tell your wife.
I will. It was definitely time worth spent. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope we get to talk again real soon.
Sounds good, man.
Thank you for joining us this week. Go to our website at thebizreveal.com to catch all of our past episodes. We're available on all podcast apps, or you can watch any of our episodes on the Biz Reveal YouTube channel. I'm Craig Sawyer, and this is the Biz Reveal. Till next time.